Voyager probe has entered interstellar space, that place between the stars. It's now out beyond the sun's heliosphere.
It should have been quiet out there. Dead quiet. Beyond the heliosphere, where the sun's influence fades into the black, Voyager 1 drifts further than any human-made object has ever gone. For decades, it has wandered the void, its ancient instruments whispering faint data back to Earth. By all calculations, it was supposed to find nothing remarkable, just cold, sparse emptiness. But then it happened. The signal came without warning. A steady, low-frequency pulse, buried in the silence, cut through the emptiness with an eerie consistency. It wasn't from the sun. It didn't match the typical cosmic background noise or the turbulence scientists had mapped for years. It was structured, rhythmic, intentional almost, and it lasted for hours. This wasn't random interference. It wasn't a dying signal. It was something else. Something Voyager wasn't meant to find. Yet it had. At over 14 billion miles from Earth, with its power supply nearing its final days, Voyager 1 had just recorded what many are now calling an impossible encounter. An event so unexpected, so thoroughly unaccounted for, that it has forced researchers to rethink what they believed about interstellar space. What the spacecraft found was not a quiet, static expanse, but a moment of dynamic, concentrated energy. A kind of burst, a ripple, a spacequake. Engineers first thought it had to be an error, maybe a failing instrument or corrupted data. But no fault was found. The data was clean, the source consistent. It didn't just appear once. It pulsed again and again with an exact precision. This wasn't equipment failure. Voyager had seen something real, something powerful, and entirely out of place. For years, the region beyond the heliopause has been described as diffuse and uneventful, a slow drift through weak magnetic fields and scattered particles. But now this pulse, measured by Voyager's aging sensors, suggests that space beyond our solar system is far more dynamic than we imagine. What generated that signal? Was it a shock wave, a magnetic event, or something else entirely? Some theorists believe it could be a microshock, an energetic front caused by interactions between large-scale galactic fields. Others suggest it may have come from an exotic structure, perhaps a plasmoid, or a filament of energy, yet undefined by current science. But as they debated, another detail surfaced, one far more unsettling. The signal's frequency bore an unmistakable resemblance to something else. Fast radio bursts. These are powerful, millisecond-long flashes detected from distant galaxies whose origins remain unknown. But Voyager didn't detect a traditional fast radio burst. What it heard was slower, closer, but with a structure disturbingly familiar. Could it be that Voyager stumbled across a similar phenomenon, one not billions of light years away, but right here in our own galactic neighborhood? It's the kind of moment that shakes the foundation of certainty. For all our simulations and models, the truth is, we don't know what's out there. Voyager, alone in the dark, has once again returned with a question we are not yet ready to answer. Back on Earth, as the signal data poured in, scientists sat in stunned silence. Not because the numbers didn't make sense, but because, for once, the data was too perfect. The pulse was persistent, unwavering. It stretched across 12 long hours, recorded in the absolute blackness of interstellar space. There were no stars nearby, no planets, no known sources of magnetic activity, just Voyager gliding through the cosmic ocean and this strange rhythmic heartbeat that had no name. They double-checked everything. The data had to be wrong, but it wasn't. Over and over again, the readings held up. What Voyager captured wasn't just a fluke. It was a coherent, measured event. The longer they stared at the signal, the more questions it raised. Why here? Why now? And how? Some of the brightest minds in astrophysics began to whisper the unthinkable. What if this wasn't natural at all? What if the signal wasn't just noise, but a message? That possibility, however remote, began to stir something deep within the halls of NASA, and among those few who still monitored Voyager like an old friend on life support. But even beyond the wild speculation, one truth became clear. Whatever had happened out there was powerful, and it had defied the very framework scientists had used for decades to define interstellar space. Suddenly, this vast region, once believed to be a lifeless vacuum, seemed very much alive. Some theorized the signal might have originated from a collision zone, where two different regions of the galaxy's magnetic field met in a rare and volatile storm. Magnetic reconnection, a violent release of stored energy, could send shockwaves through the void, like lightning flashing across an invisible sky. If Voyager had wandered through such a zone, it would have been like a it would have been like a paper boat drifting into a thunderstorm and surviving. Others looked further, beyond conventional science, to theories that until now had lived only in speculation. What if interstellar space wasn't uniform at all? What if it was more like a sea filled with unseen currents, dense eddies, and sudden whirlpools of quantum activity? In this view, Voyager may have brushed against a wrinkle in the fabric of space itself. Not a black hole, not dark matter, but something even more elusive. Something we don't even have the vocabulary to describe yet. There were hushed discussions of dark plasma, a type of invisible matter that might interact with normal energy in rare, unpredictable ways. If Voyager had passed through such a region, one cloaked from telescopes, unreachable by light, it might have triggered the emission, a quiet flash in the darkness, like the flinch of a shadow you didn't know was there. But then came the most haunting realization of all. This discovery came at the edge of the spacecraft's life. Voyager 1, built nearly half a century ago, was fading. Its power systems were failing. Engineers were already rotating which instruments to shut down, rationing every last watt like they were feeding a candle about to go out. And yet, just before its final whisper, it gave us this. One last mystery, one last impossible encounter. No one expected Voyager to find something new this far out. Its mission was considered long finished, its purpose fulfilled. But the universe had other plans. In its final moments, Voyager had pierced the silence and touched something unknown, something that had waited in the dark for billions of years, undisturbed until a human machine passed by and listened. And now, the world listens too. In the vast emptiness where light barely travels and time seems to slow, a tiny machine no larger than a car has whispered back from the edge of everything we know. It carries no crew, it feels no wind, and yet in a way no telescope or laboratory ever could, it has touched the unknown and brought it home. Voyager 1 was never meant to last this long. When it launched in 1977, no one imagined it would still be speaking to us in the 21st century. Its signals are now so faint, so distant, that it takes nearly a full day for each message to arrive. Each bit of data is like a final breath in the cold, a fragile voice stretched across the stars. And this voice, it has told us something astonishing. What this signal means exactly remains unknown, but its implications are profound. It has awakened scientists to a truth that feels more spiritual than scientific. Space is not empty, it is not silent, it is not still. There are things out there, ancient forces, hidden currents, invisible storms, that have moved quietly for eons, unobserved, untouched, until now. In the aftermath of Voyager's discovery, research teams scrambled to compare the new data with old archives. Suddenly, decades of readings from both Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were being re-examined with fresh eyes. Were there patterns we missed? Had we been blind to the hum of a deeper song playing beneath the static all along? New simulations have been launched. Supercomputers now work tirelessly, trying to recreate the conditions of Voyager's strange encounter. Telescopes are being repurposed. Probes are being redesigned. The humbler truth is now impossible to ignore. We are not finished exploring. We never were. There is a renewed urgency and almost primal pull to send more machines into the dark, not just to map and measure, but to listen, really listen. Because if that signal was real, if what Voyager heard was part of a larger phenomenon, then it means there is still so much more waiting for us. More stories, more questions, more wonders. Yet beyond the science, beyond the speculation, lies something deeper, a sense of awe, of reverence, That after all these years, all this silence, Voyager 1 still had one final gift to give us: a pulse in the dark, a whisper from the other side of the sky, a reminder that we are part of something vast and unfinished, that even at the outermost edge of human achievement, mystery still waits. And maybe that's the most powerful thing of all. This wasn't just a machine completing a mission. This was a moment in time, a fleeting, impossible spark when humanity's reach brushed against the unknown and came away changed. It's a story not of data, but of wonder, not of cold equations, but of warmth. That even in the blackest reaches of space, there is still something that stirs, something that answers when we dare to ask. So now, as Voyager drifts on into the dark, fading gently into the forever silence, we are left with more than just questions. We are left with wonder. And wonder, perhaps, is the rarest discovery of all.